Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this Thursday talk. And tonight we will have Sister Rona speaking on the topic true spiritual intelligence. A sign of true spiritual intelligence is when every moment can be experienced with contentment, an attitude of learning, and even humor. This will bring the highest quality of inner life. And a word of reminder, this lecture is being recorded and it's being streamed on Facebook and YouTube. So you can always go back and watch it again and share it with your friends. And also keep an eye on your microphone. Make sure that it's muted. Only unmute your microphone when you need to say something or share anything. And at the end, when Sister Rona gives the okay to ask some question. So enjoy this lecture, and again, welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Is this sound okay?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe we can start with a moment of silence, and please be sure to mute the mic.
Your mic is muted. It's unmuted now.
Just a moment of silence, and in this silence, maybe good to reflect on this topic. What is the meaning of intelligence? And what is the meaning of spiritual intelligence? Thank you. One simple fruit, you could say, of intelligence, or one simple result from intelligence, is that it makes our life easy. Anything that is done with intelligence, it is done easier. Say, for example, if you want to take a gardener, you want him to be intelligent, no? Otherwise, we will destroy your garden. If you want to have a cook, you want him to be intelligent so that he knows how to combine things, how to cut things, how to prepare the meal. If he's not intelligent, he will make a mess of it, and you might end up with stomach ache or food poisoning. So even things that we might consider simple, for everything we need intelligence. or at the very least, uh, intelligence should be understood as common sense. There needs to be this common sense to do anything, to make your life easy. Now, there are different forms of intelligence also. You know, there is the intelligence of knowing how to get academic achievements. There is the intelligence of knowing how to deal with your own emotional stability. There is the intelligence of how to deal with other people, certain social intelligence and social skills. There are different forms of intelligence, but there is also what is called spiritual intelligence. And tonight we are going to explore that whole area of spiritual intelligence from this angle of how to make our life easy. Spiritual intelligence approach from that perspective of spirituality. Now, when we look at human functioning and when we look at our own functioning, there are different levels at which we function. I already mentioned with the different forms of intelligence. We function on a social level, we function on an academic level, work-related, we and study-related. We function at a level of how to take care of the body and the bodily needs and the bodily hygiene and health and diet. Many, we function as a being of a community, we function as a being of a family, we function as a being of a country and a world citizen. And at all those levels, we use certain skills and we use certain abilities to function and interact and to go through the different scenes that life brings us. And for that, we use these inner faculties, our inner faculties, for example, of thought. We create thought to do that. But also there is this inner function of attitude. We have a certain attitude towards things, and that is why we think in a certain way and we behave in a certain way, depending on our attitude. We have a certain vision of things. We have certain aspirations or aims or goals about certain things. And we have certain feelings and emotions and certain experiences. Now, what can be that inner mindset that makes us go through life in a smooth way? What could be that attitude and that thought processes that could make us go through life in the most easy way possible? If we kind of grab a hold on that, then we could be called spiritually intelligent, because that would be the definition of spiritual intelligence, to have the ability to experience life regardless of its upheavals, regardless of its challenges and provocations and difficulties. If we could sail through life without inner upheaval, without inner struggles. And for that, we need a certain mindset. what we experience from life does not necessarily have to do so much with what happens, but with our approach to life and with our attitude towards it. Now, to give a simple example, say at the bus stop, there are a variety of people at the bus stop, and somebody there gets sick and faints, collapses. Now the bus driver, what he will do is he will call the central and say call 911 and says this and this is happening. Most probably he will stay calm because he's kind of internally programmed for different situations. The partner of the person who collapses, she may start screaming and she may start calling for help and get into a panic. Someone else at the bus stop who may be a nurse will start checking the pulse, loosening up all the buttons of the shirt and making sure that the airways are free. And so the same situation, but different people respond differently to that situation because their mindset is different. Same situation, but different people respond differently to that situation. And another example that we often give, there are certain cultures where a baby gets born and they come together, the people of the family or the village, they get together and cry. Now, why? You could say why. Baby gets born. In our culture, we will celebrate. In our culture, everybody is happy when they celebrate when a child is born. But in other cultures, they get together and cry because in their mindset, in their approach to life, their perspective on life, this is the worst thing that can happen to someone, being born into this world. And so what they experience from that situation is they cry, they feel sad. In certain cultures, when somebody dies, they celebrate, or they have a party, or they're happy. In our culture, when someone dies, we cry. Why? Because our perspective is different and our approach to life is different. In their perspective, someone leaving is a good thing. In our culture here, we think that is the worst thing that could happen to them. So what I'm trying to illustrate is it is not the situation itself that make us experience sadness or make us experience happiness or complacency or humor. It is the mindset that we have towards that scene or that situation that is happening. Now, if we are spiritually intelligent, it means we have a framework for our thinking and our beliefs that make us approach all the different situations in life in a way without losing our peace, in a way where we do not lose our enthusiasm, in a way that we do not lose our balance, in a way that we do not lose our emotional stability. Now, is it possible to have a mindset or a perspective on life that can make you unshakable in every situation, every and any situation, any interaction? Even, for example, this example that we gave, physical death of the body. Would it be possible? What would be this perspective that we need to be able to sail through life as an experience that is sometimes enriching, sometimes empowering, sometimes challenging, but still you have the inner feeling of enrichment, of growth. Sometimes it is an experience of fun, sometimes it is an experience of humor, sometimes it is an experience of learning, but that perspective that there is always some form of benefit. If we can have that mindset, then we are spiritually intelligent. And so I'll try to use the whiteboard. Please let me know if you can see the whiteboard. Why is this not working? Just give me a minute. No? Jose, can you? I don't understand why I can't use the whiteboard here. Here. Can you see the whiteboard? Yeah.
Yes, sister. Yes.
Very good. So this is a new gadget. Just give me a few minutes to, to play with it. You can see this? Yeah, this should be visible. Okay. Okay, so if we have here, this is our, if this is life. No. This is a human being, this is another one. And there are some objects around. This is supposed to be a house, and there are your electronic gadgets. This is a cell phone, and there are some trees, and these are birds, and there is, how do you draw a pet? This is supposed to be a dog. I can't draw very well, but pets, this is life. And in our life, we have certain interactions, certain dynamics going on in our life. And we have also, there is job, of course, there is a culture, there is a language, there are dollars, there is entertainment. And we call this life. This is our life. Now, generally, the way our mind works and the way we are programmed to think, we think of ourselves in terms of this is me, and this is mine. No, everything around is mine. We think of I in terms of the physical appearance and mine the things around us. Now, in that mindset, we identify with the body and the physical appearance with the body. We identify with things that are perishable. We identify with things that are temporary. And we say mine to things that are temporary and perishable. Now, the moment we get into that mindset of identifying with something that is temporary, it means we build our sense of self and we build our sense of self-value based on something that is temporary. And we base it on something that can be changed, that can change anytime. Now, does that make us stable and emotionally stable? If your sense, to give a silly example, if your sense of respect and self-respect is based upon your car and the model of the car, or the size of the car, or the brand, what is it, the type of car you have. If your sense of self-respect is based on that, then you are very vulnerable. And every time you take the car for a drive, you will be anxious because anything can happen to the car anytime. And you will be very anxious to park it anywhere because except the garage of your home because anyone can scratch it. Anything can happen to it. So when we do that identifying, we subconsciously or consciously are very vulnerable and feel easily insecure. That is not spiritually intelligent. To make ourselves emotionally so vulnerable by basing our sense of value on something that is perishable, on something that is temporary. Now, can we avoid that? Can we not identify with anything perishable? And the spiritual knowledge says you are actually a spiritual being, not a physical being. You are a spiritual being, and we use the image of light to indicate a spiritual being, a soul, and this being for a temporary period associates with a body. And for a temporary period associates with everything around the body. But nothing is truly mine, nor nothing here is I. The real self is this spiritual being of light. Real I is the soul, a being of consciousness, a being of a being who is a guest in this body, a being who is a traveler, a being who is the driver of the body, a being who is an invisible experiencer. Invisible experiencer. Sorry, that may not look very experience. Sorry. Experiencer. Experiencer. And that being of consciousness comes into this body, into the physical world, to have a human experience. Now, what kind of experiences bring out the best in us and still we enjoy? What kind of environment, what kind of activities, you could say, we do that still make us enthusiastic and use all our energy and use all our skills and still we have fun. That is an activity of the game. When human beings play games. Now with the Olympics we have just had a big taste of big games and where people perform to the best of their abilities. And the true spirit of game is actually the spirit of fun. Of course, it has become a little bit distorted here and there and pressurized because of the commercialization of things. But originally, when there is the energy of game, that spirit of playing, we bring out the best. We use all our abilities and still we're having fun. And we play to win, but ultimately, winning or losing, you still have fun and we still all are friends. And at the end of the game, we still all go back home and had a good time. No? Now, the human mind, the human, what is it, human nature, naturally, we are made to play. Now, when you look at little children, or babies even, if they are not sick, they play and they naturally have the attitude to play. You give them a bottle to feed, they play with the bottle. They play with their fingers, they play with their hair, they play with their crib, they play with mother's clothes. Anything they get, they play. There is some fly going around and they play. Naturally, that attitude is there of play. And that attitude, if they're really small, they are not scared. They naturally play. Now, can we have this attitude towards life in general? The invisible experiencer, the soul, is playing a game of human life. That the invisible experiencer is also a player. And the body and the things around the body are part of the game. And we're playing this game called life. And in a game, there are hurdles. In a game, there are tests. In a game, there are tests of your skills. And in a game, there are changing hurdles also, and a variety of tests and a variety of challenges going on. But there also are achievements in a game, and there are sub-achievements going on. That is all part of it. When it is changing, when there is a variety of things going on, it is all part of the game. And one in the player mindset, one in the game mindset, enjoys that, likes that, wants to be stepping up and see, can I reach a little bit further? Can I do a little bit more? Now, in this game called life, we are called not only upon our physical skills, but also on our mental skills and our spiritual skills. Are we able to love, for example? Are you able to love even someone who is not so nice? Are you able to love someone who defames you? Then you are playing the game with intelligence if you are able to do that. But if you quickly get disheartened, or you also get in the defaming mood, then as if you are not passing the hurdle of the game. How you treat your enemies, for example. The game will come with situations of animosity. How you deal with those situations is a sign of your spiritual intelligence. Uh, Game will bring things like, what is it? Temptations of maybe wealth, or temptations where there is a certain position or possession. And the temptation is, can you hold your integrity regardless of what is it? The temptation to break your integrity. If there is that spirit of gain, we can deal with situations like that in the player mindset. And if we prepare ourselves, and this is why spirituality goes together with, for example, the practice of meditation. The practice of meditation is preparing the skills to play the game of life well. And a good player knows that there are skills that we need to develop to deal with certain things, not the physical skills, but there are also the inner skills. Now, for example, Gandhi, he used to say his enemy are not the government. His enemies are not the British who are occupying India. His enemies are the demons inside his own head. No, so there is this game, external game, and sailing through the different activities of life, but there is also an inner game going on. And this inner game is within our own mind. So if this is the soul, the invisible experiencer who associates with a body, but the inner abilities of the soul. Now, one is the mind, and if we make a drawing of the mind, in our mind, all kinds of thoughts come in. And there is a subconscious part to the mind where we have stored impressions from the past. Now, and based upon those impressions, we have thoughts again. Now, we have stored from the past impressions and tendencies and habits that are based on a certain ignorance, for example. This habit, for example, of getting attached, getting into attachment and identifying with something that is temporary. So let us say these are impressions based on spiritual ignorance instead of spiritual intelligence. But we also have impressions that are based on spiritual intelligence, innate abilities, innate tendencies, tendencies, for example, to be harmonious, an innate tendency to be playful and joyful, to be peaceful, to want to be secure. Those innate tendencies are there also. But we have also these tendencies in the subconscious based on spiritual ignorance. And these tendencies, they want to use your mind. So these tendencies of, for example, attachment to grandchildren, if there is that tendency, some dependency and emotional dependency on grandchildren, and the grandchildren should come often. Now these impressions, they create constant thoughts of grandchildren, 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 grandchildren. And are they safe? And worries and what is it? All kinds of expectations. And this mind is being used by for those kinds of thoughts. And there will be worry, there will be stress, there may be even sadness. If grandchildren don't come or they don't call me, then I am depressed. All kinds of thoughts may come. And these thoughts will bring with them certain feelings also. Sorry, I don't know why this is a bit difficult to write properly. Feelings. Now, the other kinds of impressions in our mind, they could give other thoughts, thoughts of peace or thoughts of respect for the grandchildren. They are on their own journey. And when they come is nice. If they're not coming, that's also nice. Everyone has their own life and their own life's experiences and journey. And so this inner game is there of what kinds of thoughts are being created. And we have another function which is called the intellect. And if the intellect is filled with spiritual intelligence, with spiritual wisdom, then the intellect can say no to these thoughts and yes to these thoughts. And so there is this inner game going on. And this inner game responds to the outer game. So spiritual intelligence means that you hold this attitude of gain, that you hold this perspective of gain, that you have this enthusiasm of gain to deal with external situations, but to also create an inner environment for your mind and your intellect and for the subconscious that is the highest quality, the highest experience. At this moment in time, anyone want to say anything? Just to be able to see yourself as a soul, to understand the self as an invisible experiencer, an invisible player in this big game of life, that already is a sign of intelligence. And to know that there is this inner game going on, that there are higher tendencies and that there are lower quality tendencies. and that the whole idea is to be victorious over these lower form of tendencies and to play this game, inner game also. That is a sign of intelligence. It is also connected with common sense. You know, what is sensible to do? Once you know certain thing, what is the sensible thing to do? Spiritual intelligence and spiritual wisdom also has to do with seeing the larger picture. Always aim to see the bigger picture, to hold a broader perspective of things rather than a limited, smaller perspective. If there is, you're playing the game well, you're playing the game right, if you approach things with taking into considering the past, the present, and the future. So for example, if you have to make a choice or if you have to take a decision about certain things, it is good to take that decision based on where you want things to be in the future also, and not take that decision based only upon your past experiences. Now, for example, say if someone is not nice, so not even that bad, someone doesn't say hello to you, but you have the tendency and the habit to be friendly and saying hello. And one person doesn't say hello. Now, next time you meet that person, if there is no intelligence, we see that person and we immediately get annoyed. Last time they did not say hello. So now I'm also not going to say hello. A sign of spiritual intelligence is that one will think, where do I want this relationship to be in the future? If I want to be friends or at least friendly, then my behavior will be based upon that future result rather than based on my memory from what happened before. Now, this is a quality of a good leader also. Holding a vision for the future. Knowing what the past is, so knowing what certain hurdles can be, but holding that vision for the future and basing your choices and decisions upon that, constructing that future. So this is like a third aspect of spiritual intelligence. No? Understanding past, knowing present, but holding that vision for the future. All three. Fourth aspect or manifestation, you could say, of spiritual intelligence is the appreciation of variety. Now, someone with that broader vision, with that play attitude, has also the attitude of learning and a certain curiosity to see different approaches, to listen to different perspectives and different opinions, and appreciate the variety and the beauty of variety, rather than being stuck in one thing and one way of thinking, and preferably my way of thinking. Now, this appreciation of variety comes from a certain modesty and a certain humble nature, but also a love and a curiosity to learn. Another aspect of other manifestation of spiritual intelligence, or you can test yourself on this spiritual intelligence, is by seeing how you treat your enemies. I've mentioned before already. This is number 4 or number 5? I don't remember the number 5. So 5. How you can test yourself is how much is your ability to love, your ability to love and respect even those who oppose you, even those who defame you. Can you still love? That is a sign of your power of love and your inner ability to see that the game is testing you. That doesn't mean that you go and stand there and be a boxing ball for someone, but you're not coming from a position of hate. You're not coming from a position of disgust or revenge. So you can still say this is not right, or still stop someone from hurting or doing actions that are not right. But you're not coming from a space of hurt, but from a place of love. That situation is helping you to become more loving. It is testing your power to love. And power increases when there is opposition, when there is a certain resistance. So to be loving with others who are loving, that is easy. But to be loving, to come from that deeper sense of wanting the best for the other also, wanting other to also have higher and more refined experiencing, that is a sign of nobility. That is a sign of power to love. That is a sign that you're spiritually intelligent and that you're understanding the game, that you're understanding the secrets of this bigger game. It is coming to test you. Another aspect, and then we will stop and take some questions. Another aspect of spiritual intelligence is how much are you able to be alone and to walk alone. And at the same time, you can be part of a group and you can interact with the group, but you're not taking on a herd mentality. So can you walk alone? Can you stand apart from the crowd? If the crowd goes in a direction that you understand not to be the right direction, this is a sign of inner strength. And this is also a sign that you understand the secrets of the game. We are individual beings, souls who have, each one has our own journey, our own individual experiences, our own individual lessons also. And so we can be we can be social and part of a community or a group, but that doesn't mean we negotiate our values and our principles. You're not part of the herd and the herd mentality. You can be alone. And the image that is used for this is a lion or a lioness. lions, they can live in the group. And they can get along with group and do as long as it is in the benefit of the group. But when the group does something that you don't agree with, a lion can live alone. No problem. Can do both. As opposed to a sheep. No, sheep is a strong herd animal. Now, if the herd goes into the slaughterhouse, they all go. There's no individual thinking process there. You know, one or two start crossing the street, the whole herd crosses the street, even if there are cars coming. This is herd mentality. Spiritual intelligence is free from herd mentality. And one last thing to mention, then we have 7. One manifestation of this spiritual intelligence, this game mindset, is this tendency to get to the bottom of things. You don't stay at a superficial level. To play the game and to play a game right, you want to know the rules of the game, the details of the rules, the different possible positions. This tendency to get to the bottom of things and not to form an opinion or to act or react based on superficial approach and superficial knowledge. And this approach can be for anything, no? For example, in a job, to really do things properly and to know things properly. In relationships also, to position yourself, to really get to the bottom of things. Wanting to do it properly right, know the details, know the feelings and the emotions and the opinions of everyone involved. That is the Olympic medalist mentality. You have to what is it? Become expert at the things you are doing or know. These days, people just go on Google and they Google read one article and then they think they're expert at the subject. No, that is superficial approach. That is not spiritual intelligence. To do things properly. And also to know what you know and to know what you don't know. That is also a sign of intelligence. To pretend to know or to think to know things that you don't know, that is not very intelligent. So for example, a carpenter is expert at carpentry. He should not pretend to be expert at brain surgery. That is not his expertise. But in the same way, a brain surgeon, that is his expertise and knows what he knows. He should not pretend to know carpentry. So in that do things and do them right, get to the bottom of it and know what you don't know also. And if it is an interest, then you develop the understanding of that area. It is a certain attitude, a game mentality, a player's mentality. As an Olympic medalist, you have to have that mentality. So those are every 4 years Olympic Games. But this life is Olympic Games going on all the time. Do you want to make it to this team? Then we need spiritual intelligence. Thank you. Time goes so fast. Anyone wants to comment or ask anything?
What was 7? You didn't finish it. What was 7 on your list?
Yeah, no, this we still have some time, but we will also do some meditation before we finish.
Number 1. What was number 1?
And number 1 was this game spirit itself and seeing the self as a player, invisible experiencer. And life and the body and the different things around the body are the tools for this invisible to understand the self not as a body or a physical personality, but that is the part we play. The real self is this invisible player, the soul. That is the first positioning of one who is spiritually intelligent.
Shante.
Yes.
Shanti sister, I have a question. So you give example of baby, like babies are like very gameful, like they'll enjoy everything.
The sound, Mita, is a bit not very clear.
Can you hear me now? No?
I can hear, but the sound is not very clear. But try now.
Because I think I'm outside, that's why. But my question is that when we have enemies, sister, we make enemy as a friend, but enemies, because of the enemies, our strength comes out, right? At that time, that's like our true strength comes out when we have enemies, and also sometimes they bring our best out of it. So,
Yeah, so then they are not really enemies, no? They help you to be your best.
exactly. So, so sometimes it's good idea, good to have some enemies. So that way.
But in your heart means in your heart, you don't consider them as enemies.
Exactly.
It is not hate.
Yeah.
It is not coming from hate. But there will be opponents. No? Even in sports also, there is an opponent. And an opponent brings out that you need to do more, give more your best.
Yeah.
But your friends behind, no?
Yeah.
The opponents, they shake hands afterwards and they go out together, have fun together.
So you should appreciate.
Yeah, at least there is appreciation and respect, not hate.
Right.
Okay, let's have a few moments of meditation and then we'll close. So as always, we keep the body comfortable. Take a deep breath and try and grasp that mindset. Everyone had this mindset at some stage when we were young. There was no fear. There was no discomfort. There was no insecurity. We just wanting to play. Really little. Maybe you can't actively remember anymore, but it is part of the makeup of the being of consciousness to play. It is part of our nature to play. But we have left that play mindset and moved into this war mindset and attachment and egos, and the whole thing became complicated and a reason to suffer. but to see the self as this imperishable, eternal, immortal being of consciousness. A being of light, timeless, free, living light. And his whole physical world is like a playing field. And his body and the role is the tool to play the part, to play the game. But the real self is this invisible, living light, timeless player. And so as we continue this journey, let's aim to explore more this game mindset and emerge our nature of play. Thank you.
Om Shanti, everyone. So, as
Sister.
you know, the lecture was recorded and you can see it again on Facebook and YouTube. And you can go over what Sister Rona explained about spiritual intelligence.
Thank you, Sister Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.